please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Okay, so pre-opening rates are in, and of course for now they're all over the place, so we'll have to wait for them to settle down a bit. First rate is actually on Hindustan Unilever, which is up 10%, of course won't happen. Let's look at some believable rates. Infosys up about 0.8%, M&M up about 0.5%, Larsen up a bit. Rupee has also opened actually absolutely flat after last 2 or 3 days of big weakness, so that one is also quite interesting. But we'll wait for these rates to settle a bit, because right now all over the place. Devin Choksi is with us from KR Choksi. Devin, good morning. Thoughts first on the IT space. Now we have Wipro's numbers as well. We've had large rally, of course, in names like TCS and Infosys. How would you approach this sector?
Good morning, Anuj. Well, I think the TCS has clearly shown a very different character vis-a-vis, I think, the others, for sure. And I think that's where I think one remains largely confident that given the situation in which I think the cloud computing, data analytics and digital infrastructure, I think, progressing well. The TCS's strategy is now playing out well, and I think they are probably winning some of the good contracts as far as I think the accounts are concerned. So that is giving you a little bit more clarity. However, I would still believe that I think they would probably not be in a position to grow beyond 10% kind of a growth rate. I think that would be the cap as I see it, I think, for TCS also. Rest of the companies may be in the vicinity of around 6 to 8% growth rate kind of a situation. The whole viewpoint here is that yes, there is a valuation arbitrage available between the Infosys and the TCS today. I would think that would still stay a little bit more with the TCS at this point of time, even though they have remained valued because of the larger visibility of earnings for the company. And not to forget one more aspect, that some of the mid-tier IT companies, they could, those who are holding particularly I think the niche in verticals and holding some of the patents, niche patents, I think they could be the target for the acquisition, and that's where I think companies like TCS would be a little bit more favorably placed comparatively. So continue to remain relatively I think strong with TCS vis-a-vis others.
Okay. Well, at the moment, the dollar rupee is opening exactly where it closed yesterday. Actually, the rupee seemed to open 2 pies stronger, but it's now back to almost 66.89, 66.90. That's where it closed yesterday. So very, very flat as far as the rupee is concerned.
Real estate is up 17% right now in pre-open. So that, of course, is the market reaction. PC Jeweler was down 18% yesterday or thereabouts, so that one is interesting, still down about another 1%. Vakrangi, of course, has been on lower circuit, and that still continues today as well.
Wipro is opened about 2% lower, so not a very big cut.
Yeah, even M&M Financial actually, good set of numbers coming in, and that stock is now up almost 3%. In fact, that stock has given you 30% return since the lows of March, so it's already put in a goodish bit. But these are a couple of stocks to look at. DB Realty, after the big move yesterday, continues to inch up higher. So these Mumbai-based real estate companies doing pretty well.
Yeah, Wipro is now 7% down, but I don't know how it's going to settle.
Yeah, ICICI Proof, because yesterday it cooled off in late trade, but is up 2.5% in pre-open. So it will be interesting if it takes out yesterday's high, because in that case, that could really be interesting, because it's been moving up for ever since its results, of course, as well.
Okay, and the other two stocks that we should watch out for, of course, would be Yes and Axis. They may be quiet before the results are announced. But let's get some additional cues that the markets will respond to. The commodity and currency cues. Manisha Gupta is joining in to give us a wrap of the overnight action. Good morning, Manisha.
Thank you so much for that, Lata. Let's start with metals. And while you have the US dollar trading at a 3-month highs, this sector has been under pressure because of that. But what you would want to watch out for is the ECB monetary policy and the Mario Draghi press conference today in the evening, and that would give you further direction. Aluminum prices, they gained in the markets yesterday, but we have started Shanghai on a weaker note. That is because there are statements on how LME is reassessing the Rusal aluminum, and we have seen prices take pressure off because of that. Remember, the aluminum prices are 18% down from the 7-year highs that we saw on 19th of April itself. So some more pressure is what Shanghai and LME show. The decline, though, has continued for the zinc prices. Overnight, LME prices were down by 2.5%, and Shanghai zinc has opened 2.8% 8% on the lower side. This is after the zinc inventories on LME surged by 15% in a single day. That pulled the prices on the weaker side. The only thing that has been holding firm in the metal space has been the steel prices, 7-week highs on that, and the Shanghai steel inventories have declined 21% in last 1 month. So that tells you while the inventories have been declining and the construction demand is picking up, so that clearly has been supportive there. The strength is back in case of the crude oil prices also, while of course we have seen positive statements from US and France on the Iran nuclear deal. But until you get the final word out there, this market is continuing to be choppy. The speculative long positions continue at record highs as well for the Brent prices.
All right, Manisha, thanks for your quick thoughts on the commodity space. By the way, for the market, it's now adjusted absolutely flat, but the Mumbai real estate players continue to do very well. Devin, from the results that came in post-market hours yesterday, M&M Financial looked like a really good set of numbers. Is that a stock that you would like at this point? And anything else in this, NBFC space that looks good?
Yeah, Sonia, good morning. The companies in NBFC space particularly, I think, have been showing distinctly strong growth. We saw other day the results coming up from the Cholamandalam. I think that result is exceptionally good result, and probably I think they're driving on the growth engine that they have in form of commercial vehicles. So probably I think that company remains among the solid companies in the NBFC space. Along with, I think we continue to like the likes of Bajaj Finance and the Capital First. My M&M Finance, I have not studied the numbers completely last evening, but I believe that I think that things are on the improvement side for them as well. So we'll have to look at the numbers a little bit more in detail before I make some viewpoint on the subject.
Okay, Indiabulls numbers, real estate, did you study? And because of all this Mumbai plan, is real estate attractive at all?
Yeah, Lata, the DP plans broadly, I have gone through the key points which have come out from the DP plans. However, I think we still need to study, and as we were discussing with some of the developers yesterday, I think they need to study at what price I think these FSIs are going to be sold at, because on one side they have doubled the commercial segment FSI to 5, and in the residential segment the FSI has been increased by 20% or 25% to 2.5 from 2 currently. So definitely there is going to be an additional supply coming into the market. The whole issue is about, I think, the price at which I think this is going to be priced at, and that's where I think one will talk about whether the entire proposition is lucrative or not. Maybe I think a couple of more days to study that, and one can argue for or against I think this aspect. But overall in general, it appears that I think the thrust that has come up on the affordable housing side, I think is likely to give a larger amount of impetus to many of the realtors. More than that, I think we feel more confident about the housing finance companies who are basically lean towards this particular situation. That's where I think we believe that the opportunity or the 20-25% kind of a growth opportunity in housing finance business would remain largely intact. With this kind of a plan, I think it is even more firming up.
Okay, the pre-open rates have now settled, and once again absolutely in dichotomy with the SGX Nifty. In fact, 16-point higher is what we have in pre-open. 10,586 is where the Nifty has settled. The Bank Nifty is up 18, and the mid-cap index, of course, looking good. So that one is up about 1/3 of 1%. So let's see how it pans out. Of course, Wipro is down 4% in pre-open. Infosys is up 1%, and Ultratech, which came out with decent set of numbers, is actually up about 1% right now in pre-open. And a couple of metals making a bit of a comeback. Mitesh, your thoughts on metals and anything that you would want to buy here?
See, I think there are two stocks which I think might show more strength than the rest of the pack. One of them is National Aluminium. We saw the stock go up to about levels of 90, correct, and that has taken support around 76, which is where the moving averages kind of converge. So keep a stop at 75, look for 82, 83 as your target on the upside. And the other one is again, somewhere it's been underperforming, but I think sale, if it starts getting past 79.5, 80, could possibly get into some kind of an uptrend.
Okay. Well, here's a big voice from the corporate world. ITC says it's not giving up on the 1 lakh crore rupee revenue target by 2030 for its FMCG business, but that could get delayed by a couple of years. A word of optimism and confidence from the ITC CEO, Sanjeev Puri, as he completes 1 year. Just listen into a slice of that conversation.
You took over in February of 2017. You've seen the GST rollout, and all of this has had a fair degree of disruption on the business ecosystem. Given where we stand today, and the fact is that consumption continues to be the big growth driver, the big growth engine, what are you seeing in terms of the macros before I start to talk to you about the micros?
First of all, let me say that GST was a very welcome step. It's indeed truly a transformative reform that is going to create a common Indian market, and it augurs well for the economy. So whilst there were some hiccups, and I would say that in fact hiccups are perhaps less than I thought that we would have.
Okay.
But the good thing is they are behind us, and we are much more stable today.
And do you get a sense that at least on the taxation front, on the regulatory front, that we are now in a stable regime? Is that what you're factoring in? Because the cess is now, and the changes with the cess are over and done with. GST collections are picking up, so the pressure to revise the cess perhaps has abated somewhat. What is your own sense on the tax environment?
Well, it's difficult to predict, but I am an optimist. So I hope that that's what will happen during the year.
Let me then ask you about the micros and start by asking you about the cigarette business, because while it continues to contribute about half your revenues, it is 90% of the EBIT. What is the trend now in terms of volume growth? Do you believe the decline that you've been witnessing quarter after quarter is now on the way to being arrested?
Well, as you know, the big concern that we have always had with the cigarette industry is that with high increases in taxation, which is about more than 200% in the last few years, the unintended consequence is that the legal industry takes a blow and illegal grows. And today, 1 in 4 cigarettes in India are actually illegal.
Okay, we will play you chunks of that conversation later on. Very quickly, Deven, in the consumption space, ITC or any other stock beckons your attention?
Well, Lata, we continue to look at, I think, the lever, and I believe that I think they are showing relatively larger amount of growth than what they have up till now producing. Maybe I think some corrective strategies on the marketing side. One important key takeaway that I find from them is after the GST, particularly the stocking of goods, I think at different state levels, I think has definitely, I think, have a meaningful impact on the balance sheet because of the non-requirement of, I think, stocking additional goods because the deliveries are happening through the factory gateways. So that is basically bringing down the requirement of working capital, and it is expected that over a period of time, I think this should result into the margin improvement for the company. So that's the only point which I would like to add, along with the volume increase that they have talked about. So lever remains among the little bit more favorite play comparatively to others.
Okay, well, the other stock that's looking good this morning is Ultratech Cement. Remember, they reported a very good set of numbers, 30% cement volume growth. Sudarshan, from the cement space, any of these stocks deserve a trade now?
No, none of them, not even Ultratech, which is, let us say, little better than ACC. But cement is a sector best left alone. Okay.
I wanted to know what, would you want to change your trade at all? Nifty opening flat at the moment, looks like 10,580. Sudarshan, would you effect a short trade or not trade at all?
No, intraday rally is an intraday short sell. Okay. And the positional short should be maintained in any case. We are still in a trading range. 10 points up and down mean nothing.
Okay. And Mitesh, anything on the index after seeing the opening?
Not much, Lata, but I think in case we are closer to about 10,620, maybe, you know, we've been advocating selling call options last month purely because time value was eroding. But now I think then around 10,620, I would buy put options for the month of May.
Okay, well, just a minute for the markets to open. Deven, anything on Yes and Axis that you would want to alert the investors?
Axis will continue to have the relative amount of pressure on the non-performing asset provisioning side because of the corporate book that they carry. Yes, on the other side would probably have around 30% kind of a growth which they have demonstrated in past quarters also. I think that is likely to continue. However, there may be some margin pressure for Yes Bank in this particular quarter given the kind of a additional cost I think that they have incurred in the areas of particularly I think expanding the network. So there, I think that might have some pressure. So beyond that, I think the growth will continue. That is what might take. So between the two, if I have to select one, I think yes would be better comparatively as they announce their results today.
Okay, and okay, I wanted to ask you about the continuation of the managing director, but we'll come to that in a minute. It's about 10 seconds for the markets to open. It looks like the mid caps will do much better today, but overall it looks like a positive opening. Can't say much on expiry day, so we will just wait to see how the market performs. India Bulls real estate is still starting with a 4% up.